To leverage the power of Instagram for your business, understand how to create a consistent brand voice, or use Instagram stories to connect with your audience. Well, stay tuned for part one of a two-part interview with our very own expert on Instagram, Karen McCarthy.
Happy Friday, Emer.
Thank Crunchy. I'm always used to say Crunchy.
Yes. Although I should be saying, and to our special guest, Karen, I want to wish you both every happiness today, as it's National I Want You to Be Happy Day. There you go.
Oh, but then I'll go home then. I'll be happy.
No, but hopefully you're happy, Karen, aren't you? You're always happy.
Very happy, sure. Why wouldn't I be? But on Instagram,
you're happy because you're on the show. You're on the show again. After
That's
I think
it.
must be a year and a half or 2 years.
Oh God! Shh, don't be saying that long. It's not that long. Are you that long, Karen? Are you?
I think it might be. Yeah. I think time is weird in the pandemic. You just don't know where it goes. So I think it could be that long.
Yeah,
I know. I was going to say it is great that Karen's with us today because Instagram is ever evolving, as you know. It has evolved so much since Karen's been on with us, you know.
Exactly.
But so that people know a little bit more about Karen, we're not going to give you too long an intro, Karen, because you know we just take over the whole show, wouldn't we? Because you've got such a
time is money, Karen. Huh?
Yeah, she's such an expert. Yeah. So anyway, everyone, she is a mentor to small business owners, helping them to master social media with strategies and really good actionable tips. And she's such a whiz on Instagram. I really do have to up my game with that because I keep on saying,
we're jealous.
There's only so many images of laptops and videos of laptops you can take when it comes to social media sometimes, I think,
I know.
But anyway, So Karen, it's really great you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have a great chat. I suppose before we get into a wonderful chat, we do want to let you know that if you have missed the last show, myself and Emer, we were talking about Google business profiles and how they're so important for your business. So do subscribe. You can check them out on the Let's Get Social Show podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and the Dublin South FM website.
And of course, if video is your thing, which is slowly becoming mine, you can head over to our YouTube. Wait, what are you saying? What are you saying?
You're a natural, Emer, natural.
It's who I'm with, of course, isn't it? You know, that makes a difference.
Exactly.
But you're putting me off now. I was. What was I saying?
YouTube.
Yeah, head over to YouTube. Go to YouTube and subscribe, ring that bell, and even leave a comment and let us know how we're doing, you know.
Yeah, if you like what we're doing, exactly.
Yeah.
And in that comment, if you want us to do any other shows like we're doing today about Instagram or either the topic, inquiries at dublinsouthfm.ie, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. So, Philip, apart from...
We got there, Karen. We got through the intro, Karen.
I think I am going home. So let's just dive in, Karen, and we're just going to get you on the hop, hopefully. Give us a couple of basic tips to get you started with Instagram. If somebody's out there going, will I go on Instagram? Will I not go on Instagram?
Yeah, don't do it. Just don't start. Well, focusing on small business owners, I would say, let's assume the person knows very well their own market. They have a very good idea of who their ideal client is, something we talk a lot about in marketing in general, because if you don't know very, very well who exactly you're trying to connect with on Instagram, it's going to be a bit of a mess. So if you don't already have that sorted out, don't even start until you do that. And that would look like doing a bit of market research, could be getting on interviews with people, doing it around the internet, and that. Just be very, very clear on who you're trying to communicate with. From that, then kind of talking about getting started, let's assume you're just about to set up an account. Focus really on the bio, first of all, which is just your kind of, social media business card in that way on Instagram, where you have about 150 characters to tell this person that you're trying to reach, this is who I am in terms of what I can do for you. It's not a like, hey, I'm Karen and I love dogs and blah, blah. It's more, this is what I can do for you. This is why it's worth your time being here, and give them a reason to hit follow. And then you've got these also these kind of SEO type parts that are coming into Instagram more and more now. You've got in the name section, the username section that's searchable, and you want to really, really think about the kind of keywords you can put in there. Because if you just kind of land on Instagram and do nothing else, no one's really going to know that you're there. They don't announce it for you to the world or anything. So you need to understand those keywords that your person is looking for, so that they can then type in whatever they're looking for and you pop up, and you know, you get discovered that way.
I just wish they'd make it long. I was going to say, Philip, I wish they'd make it the bio longer.
Get a word in edgeways.
Yeah, the username has gotten longer now, at least. So that's something, and that's what sort of keywords are. So they've increased that to about 60 characters now. It was 30 before, so they're getting better. But you're still stuck with 150 characters in the bio. But sometimes, in a way, it's good, because you could just go off on tangents, and it makes you be really, really precise in saying. And this is where we kind of talk about an I help statement, or a variation of that, where you're basically saying, I do this thing for this particular person, and this is how it happens, so that they can just in that 1-2 second time span go, oh, great, this is what I'm looking for, follow. Yeah. So in a way it's good, because I think I'd be off on tangents if it was a long, big, paragraph or something.
Just two questions on the bio, Karen, just to get your, because I'm sure you probably see this with businesses when it comes to formulating their bio. They're both can be very boring. There's no personality. We're just an IT company. They don't use any emojis. And also that thing about the name and the username, once again, I think is a great one. Just maybe you might just tease it out, because a lot of business I'm sure you see for both their username and their name, they might go at Philip Twyford, name at Philip Twyford, as opposed to, as you mentioned, keywords. Would you just kind of maybe...
absolutely. It's a great point. So the username is where you would put in your business name. So if you're a personal brand, it could be Karen McCarthy, or if you're a business, you have to simplified social media, it's whatever that is. And this is the idea that if somebody has found you elsewhere, or they know you, or somebody's, mentioned you, when they go in and search that on Instagram, they'll be able to find you in that way. The name section, then you don't want to repeat it, because you're just wasting time, and it's just going to look weird. It's just going to be, a duplication like that, and you're wasting that valuable search space as well. So think then about the keywords, and this is where you want to get into that mindset again of your ideal client, of like, what are they searching for on Instagram? And this could be, you might need to just step back and think about it, or you could use things like just literally on Google. There's keyword extensions you can use on Google to figure out what are the words that people are putting in. You could even do a bit of research on Instagram itself and search in there and say, okay, if I was looking for, dog harnesses, would I put in dog harnesses, or would I say lead? What were the words that I would say as the customer, and make sure these are searchable in that. Location is a big one as well, where you can put in your location in your bio in a separate area, so it kind of pops up at the end. So if you're in any way a location business, make sure you do that. But you could also put it in your actual name section as well. If it was, let's say you were Dublin Yoga Studios or something like that, that it's important that somebody is not going to just type in yoga for the world. They're going to be looking for it in a particular place. So to bear in mind, again, it's all really, like everything on social media is about knowing your ideal client inside out, and how they think and how they're acting on the platform, so you can be there to meet them.
Yeah, it's great. It's great advice.
It is, yeah. I know, especially as you say, the keywords for as the you want your business name, as you were saying, as the handle, but then have keywords. You could have those additional to the business name, or you just saying
additional, so you can fill in the both areas. They're the both kind of bolded areas. The username handle is the @ one, and the other one is like the bolded area on the bio there. But you want to, and the thing about them is that you can't change them more than twice in 14 days, which is fine. But just like, maybe get a piece of paper first and write it down, because if you kind of, I've seen clients before go, oh crap, I put in a full stop there, and now I can't change it for 14 days. Oh yeah. You just be mindful, just don't hit save until you're happy with it. And emojis are also searchable in that name.
I was going to say that I have a couple of emojis on mine, and it people kind of look twice, because
brightens it up, stands out.
Yeah. Actually, talking of emojis, talking of emojis, because I work with the funeral industry, Karen, and it was very funny. I was, you're sending somebody a wee message, say, about, let's have coffee on Zoom or whatever. Did you ever know, this is something just to go check out yourself. Did you ever notice when you start to put in, in the emoji section, if you start to put in your phone, the word coffee, the two images that come up are coffee cup and a coffin. Did you know that, Philip?
I didn't know that. Why is coffee deadly or something? Possibly, I don't know. I drink too much, maybe.
I must say that actually. So that's my opportunity to say it. But yes, when you go to start typing COF, have a look. You will laugh. You know,
I suppose yes. It's trying to pre-fill. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, you know. So, what was I going to say, Philip? Then it means like you were saying to me about the old emojis. What emojis do you like to have in your bio?
On my bio?
Yeah.
I think I have, what do I have? I think I have ones related to social and tech. I know I definitely have a laptop in there. I obviously can't remember some of the others I have. I've
go and check.
I have to go. I've moved away, I must admit, from Instagram to a certain extent and been more focused on LinkedIn and now TikTok and YouTube. But I go full cyclical, you know, based on what I feel my audience or what I'm kind
of. It can be good to as well, like brand an emoji in a way that you kind of just by, I mean, it's not that you own it or anything, but you're just kind of, you always use it. So I, for example, my brand colors are yellow. So I'll always use a yellow heart whenever I'm commenting on stuff, and people have started to like, go, there's the yellow heart person, like even, they'll just start to recognize it. Like, I'll have it in my caption, in my posts, and just like, I just don't even think about it anymore. But if you can think of something, you know, that is for you kind of representing, either it could be your colors or it could be something like that laptop or something that just, it could be a microphone for the podcast or something. Or
well, it's a good point you've mentioned there, because exactly that, something that myself and Emer noticed very much about your profile is you have a really consistent brand voice, aesthetic, a look, and exactly like you've mentioned there, the use of yellow across your imagery or kind of little emojis. Like from your point, from a visual representation of Instagram, how important is it for business to have that consistent brand voice?
Yeah, and this is a kind of a hot topic in the social media world at the moment, because a lot of people are now saying the curated feed is dead, forget about it. This was like a 2020 thing. It's no longer important anymore. And there's like, you know, there's right and wrong in that. I think that like we don't need to waste time on Canva spending hours, get the perfect post and, you know, moving text around and all this. But I think that it's important to have an overall brand representation in what you do in some way. Now that doesn't mine's quite curated in terms of like, it's yellow, it's white. No, it's easy enough to do, it's just yellow or white. But it does look a bit striking in that way. But it could be, you know, a filter that you use or something. It's just something that you're consistently sticking with. And the reason is that when somebody sees your posts show up on a feed, they just kind of go, oh yeah, that's that person. I recognize it even just subconsciously in that way. So I think it is important. I think that like, the argument is we don't need to spend as much time, like before we had these like puzzle feeds and stuff, which I think were just ridiculous. They just took way too long to make, and you make a mistake and the whole thing looks weird. So now it's like, it's an in-between. If you don't do whatever is like easiest for you to do while keeping, you know, don't like do yellow today and then turquoise tomorrow and then another, and just like all over the place, have some kind of consistency without going mad and being like, oh no, I missed. Like sometimes I'll mess up and I go, oh, I should have put a yellow and I put a white and whatever, it's fine, it's all yellow and white. So I'm not like losing sleep over it. But I think overall, you know, and it goes deeper. And if you talk about kind of the brand consistency of the voice that you have, like when you show up on social media in terms of the content you put out there, you want that to tie in with your brand values. So like you as a person might have a very strong opinion about something that your business maybe doesn't align with, and maybe that's for your personal account and you keep certain things. So to know what goes where, and all of that is kind of the brand consistency, and that just just makes your presence stronger.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at you have a yellow background on, you know, your profile image. And was that deliberate, or did you just
So I do yellow everywhere as much as I can, and you know, when it's like, I was only a couple of years ago that kind of went yellow. It was like black and white before. But yeah, like, because I think as well, then again, it depends on the industry you're in and the niche that you're in. I think in my industry, people like to see it, because I've had a lot of clients sign up going, oh, I love the look of your feed, I'd love to do something like that. Or like, let's say a graphic designer or somebody, it kind of is important that they look a certain way. But if you're doing something else, you'll see other types of accounts that are just people talking at the camera. And there is still a consistency in it, in that they're maybe in the same background, but they're not doing it in the same way. So you can kind of let your industry, your business filter it. And again, I always say, like, whatever is easiest, like it's very easy for me to just alternate between white and yellow. It really doesn't take me any extra time to do it. So I'm not doing something very elaborate that takes me ages to do. So what would be the similar for you and your business that would make sense and align with your business value?
Yeah. Because as I say, like you want, it doesn't matter whether it's just Instagram, but all the other channels to have a, as you say, consistent note that people will say that actually does look like Karen. Or you don't want them getting confused, you know, because at the end of the day, people don't have the time. They'll just go move on, you know, that way. So it's good to keep it consistent color wise and that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So going forward, you know, we've got our bio, we're all looking good with our emojis and our colors and everything else. The $7 million question is, how often should you post for engagement?
That's the big
because it's changed. I know it's changed. Like you hear like, three times a day or
25 times in the hour.
Not as much as Philip.
Just live stream the whole time.
I mean, because you've got all these different aspects, whether it's, you know, just your normal Instagram posts, then you've got your reels, then you've got your stories, then do you do a live, you know?
It can get very complicated.
And I think sometimes that can actually overwhelm people. So what would you say is a good rule of thumb in a sense?
I would always err on the side of sanity. And I would come back to like, as a business owner, you have a million things going on. And yes, Instagram is a tool for your business, but what's realistic for you to post right now? And right now it might be, this is so new to me. If I get one post out a week, I'm doing well. And look, okay, that's fine. It's a great place to start. Do that. And then the more you do that, suddenly it'll take you the same amount of time to do 2, to do 3, and so on. So like, take where you are and be consistent with that, even if that's just one post a week, and try and add to it. And then if you're looking at, okay, what is realistically in terms of like the Instagram algorithm and all this, you know, you don't need to post every day. If you can post every day, okay, fine. But again, I would say, you know, it's down to your niche as well. Do your audience want to hear from me every day? Have you got something? Are you posting for the sake of it, or is there some actual valuable content going out there? So just be honest with yourself and say, okay, how much first can I realistically do on a long-term consistent basis? And what do my audience need to hear from me? Do they need to be hearing? Are they going to be on Instagram on a Sunday at all? Do they need to hear from me on a Saturday? Is it just, you know, 4 days a week, whatever it is? And then, you know, if you're looking to grow in a sort of a real consistent way in terms of followers and this kind of thing, I would say no less than 3 posts in the feed realistically is going to do it. So that's, you know, reels and carousels and infographics and photos and that kind of stuff. So I would say a nice number is 4 a week if you can do it. But again, I don't want to freak people out who are just like, what? So if you're at one, fine, you'll get there. And like it used to take me hours to do posts before, and now I'll do 4 very quickly. So wherever you are is fine right now.
We're great believers in repurposing, or the other aspect is what about, you know, and I know it's slightly off what we're talking about, but reposting maybe someone else's Instagram post, maybe using the repost app. What's your take on that? Is it like once a month? You know,
it would depend on your industry again. If it's like, you know, if you're trying to be the authority in your industry, it doesn't really serve you to do that. If you are, you know, selling something, let's say rental accommodation in Ireland, and you could repost photography of Dublin, then that makes sense because you're getting decent content and repurpose. So like, what makes sense to the business? It might not make sense in your niche. If you're somebody making, you know, physically making products, it doesn't really make sense to repurpose somebody else's content in that way. So your feed is kind of your catalog of products in that way, if that's your business. So I don't do any reposts on my own, but I repurpose my own stuff all the time. Like I pretty much say the last 2 months, every single post I've put up has been a repost, and nobody said anything. It's all been fine. So you can
lazy, Karen, a bit lazy, huh?
I used to repost. I don't know if you ever saw on Instagram Philip doing his high kicks. I used to do the odd repost on that just to say, look, I'm not as insane as he, but you know, and now you feel my pain every week, you know.
The hips don't lie. Those kicks haven't made an appearance.
At least you can't kick me, you know. So no, I was just curious because some people, you know, wonder, you know, I come across and they'll say, oh, I see sometimes people do a repost, and I go, yeah, but I wouldn't do it all the time. If it's complementary to, maybe it's someone you supply, if it was you were a baker and you were supplying a restaurant or something, you might want to repost to showcase who you supply, maybe, you know.
So testimonial,
I think I think it comes down to your intention on Instagram as well. Like if your main intention is to sell your own products or to like create brand authority as you being the voice of authority in it, then really I would say if you're going to share that kind of stuff, leave it for stories. You don't really want it on your feed. So you know, it comes back to like when I was saying at the start, like start market research. The sort of other thing after that is to set your intention with the platform. Like, am I on here just to say hey and let people know what I do, or I'm actually trying to sell, or what am I here to do, and align every piece of content with that, you know, in some form or other. So if you're on there like me, I'm on there to like sell my programs or whatever, so I'm not going to be selling in every single post, but I'm going to keep that in mind with my intention of like, I'm not going to go and repurpose all of the other people who are in social media in my industry on my feed. I might share them in my stories or something if it's the right context, but it's just bringing it back always to why are you on here, and does this post serve that intention?
Yeah, no, that all makes huge sense. Like as Emer mentioned there, I was throwing the legs around thinking I was 21 again on Reels.
It's not a good look.
But you are great on Reels, especially Karen. You're so consistent with your materials, but really useful, also engaging, funny. No, like it's a great example, I would say, to any business, you know, to check out your Instagram Reels, because I suppose, talk us through for business, maybe business owners who are listening, who maybe are not fully understanding what Reels are, and maybe some of the creative ways that potentially they could start to use them to, I suppose, raise their profile on Instagram.
Yeah. So Reels are kind of Instagram's version of TikTok, which is just short form video, anywhere from about, you know, couple of seconds up to 90 seconds at this stage. So it's just another way of sharing content, and like everything is going very video heavy at this stage. Although in recent weeks, Instagram has kind of pulled back and said, hang on, we went a bit too far there. We previously announced that we were no longer a photo sharing app, and now we're sort of backing up on that and saying, maybe that's not the way to go, because they were built on photos. So it's one way of doing content. And it's, you know, I think a lot of people shy away, me included at the start. When I saw Reels come out, I was like, I'm not doing this. Getting on and dancing and doing whatever. It's just like, I just can't. Who is high time? Kicks.
High kicks.
Yeah, look at you now, Karen.
We're not all as flexible as you know.
Oh,
but you know what I've been doing with it and experimenting is, because I'm somebody who doesn't love being on camera in general, that I'm looking for other ways of doing it that I am comfortable with. And sometimes that is being on camera, because you know it is important if you're growing a personal brand as a business. It is important to sort of show up and say, hey, I'm a human, I exist. So I feel like if I'm coming on camera like that in a reel to teach something, it makes more sense to me. So again, it will bit depend on the type of business that you're running in terms of what will be the content of your reels. But you could do it as, you know, a behind the scenes of you working, if you're whatever you're doing, be it making something physically, or maybe you're like, you know, in your office and on the laptop or whatever, and set your camera up at a distance at a flattering angle, filter on and all the rest.
Good lighting.
Good lighting, and put it on kind of high speed. Like you can change the speed settings in the reel recording itself. So it just looks like, you know, that kind of time lapse thing. And no more than 7 seconds. And you can put up a little text, or you can say, here's how to do something, or a quote, or whatever it is. But as all content, thinking about how does this serve the person receiving it? So imagine the person who's sitting on Instagram, scrolling through reels, just binging reels. What's going to make them stop about this? It needs to be something for them. It could be a quote that moves them and stops them, and they kind of go, I must share that with my sister, and they share it or something, or they like the account, or, you know, they follow you, or they leave a comment or something. Or it could be like something very useful where you're saying, like, here's how we do something. And it's whatever you teach in your company, whatever you do, top whatever lists of things, these kinds of things. So like ways of not having to necessarily always being the center person on camera, but still being like visible in some way, and you're sharing valuable content at the same time. And then another one I love to do that involves not being on camera at all is the tweet reels, where you will take, like, these are great, these are very easy to do in Canva. If you go into Canva and you just search tweet videos, it'll bring up this template where you can just basically take a background that Canva has. It might be, you'll see if you go to my photo, you'll see majority of my reels are like this. They just like a background of like the sea or whatever moving, and then a quote over it that looks like a tweet, and then you're saying, you know, read the caption for more or something like that. So it's a trending sound that you might pick. It's very visually pleasing. The quote itself will stop them in the track somehow and give them incentive to go and, you know, either you'll say follow for more or read the caption for more or something like that. So you're just kind of, because reels are, I would think of reels as very much, you know, fishing a wider net. They're kind of, they're being cast wide and far to a huge audience. And so you really have to, within that short time span of maybe 7 seconds, capture people in whatever way you can and bring them in. But there's plenty of ways to do it. So just don't get freaked out about, I'm not a dancer, I'm not whatever. There's plenty of ways to do it. And they've got, even since, because I think last time we talked, they were fairly recent and there was loads of options, but there's lots of options now, both coming from like apps like CapCut, Canva, all these that are kind of designed to create templates for us. There's templates themselves within reels that you can just basically, if you go watch a reel and you'll see a little thing that comes up that says use this template, and if you tap on that, suddenly you'll have exactly the sound and the template format that this person used, and all you need to do is swap in your little clips. So they're very easy to create now. So for small businesses, and what I'd say is the best tip for small businesses if you want to get started on reels is start documenting your day-to-day life, in terms of like you're out walking the dogs and you see a rainbow, take a 3-second video. You go for a coffee, the coffee looks nice, take a little nice angled video with the city sort of bustling behind it, 3 seconds. Suddenly you've got 10, 20, 3-second videos that you can pull together with a nice trending sound, add the context to it with the text, and bam, you've got a reel.
Love it.
There you go.
It sounds so easy. There you go.
Yeah. The ones that I kind of find interesting, you know, that people put up in reels would be something like, you know, these here's a video website that's illegal to know.
Oh,
you know,
it's a good one.
And I get drawn in because I'm oh, what's this? You know,
you need to know.
And some
you need
really
to
good.
know this website. I'm just looking at the time. I think you might squeeze one more question in, Emer, before we close the first part of I can't believe we're nearly finished.
Listen, time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. Actually, this is one of my favorite aspects of Instagram, are hashtags. I know people can get a bit confused about them, but like, what's your take on them at the moment? You know, you know, there's a certain number you should be using, or is there not a certain number you should be using?
Yeah, and this has been like probably the most talked about topic on Instagram that people just get driven into debate. And now the latest is they don't work anymore. Don't bother using them. I definitely think they work. I definitely see, like you can see if you check your post insights, not on reels, but on other posts, you'll see how many people are coming in off your hashtags. I definitely get a fairly high percentage coming in off hashtags. So they do work. They maybe work slightly differently than before, but they've always done the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Categorize your content. So I always think about it, and I might have said this the last time, of like when you go into like dating myself, a CD shop looking for music, and you're looking for like a U2 CD, you know exactly which section you're going to go to look for that. So because it's been categorized correctly, so you're communicating with a robot, the algorithm, to tell them based on these hashtags, please categorize my content into these parts of Instagram. So don't go saying love dogs, blah blah blah. Be very specific with them. So if I want to use social media, there might be billions of posts on social media. So instead I might say social media Ireland, and that's going to be a smaller pool, more relevant to my content. So be relevant. So that's where, if you put 30 hashtags and you're kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall, they may not work, and you might not understand why. So if you're kind of starting off, it is good to start smaller. So maybe you'll start with 7, figure them out. And as they start to work, if you can add more relevant to them, but you don't have to. But if you had 30 perfectly relevant, amazing hashtags, sure, use them. But you know, that's all it is about, is relevancy and categorizing the content, really.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. Yeah, because I know some people, when they do try to figure out what hashtags to use, you know, they're not sure, is this the right one? So I was going to say, is it best to err on the side of caution and go with what's industry related, you know?
Yeah, and like describing the post in particular, because it's placing this post somewhere. Yeah. So what's this post talking about? And again, like I always say, imagine yourself talking to like a robot that's like a baby robot, and it just like has a basic understanding, and you're just saying, hello robot, social media Ireland, small businesses Ireland, and just keep it super simple, because otherwise the robot's going to go, I don't understand, ignoring.
Does not compute.
Computer says no.
Computer says no.
Exactly.
Karen, this has been great. It's been a whirlwind. I can't believe we're nearly at the end. Before we wrap up our first interview chat with yourself, where would you like people to go and learn more about you if they want to connect with you and learn about what you do?
Sure. Well, best place is Instagram.
Yeah.
So you'll find me at the Simplified Social Media. You'll see all the yellow and you'll know you're in the right place.
Yeah. The funky reels. That's it. People get to know you, Karen. So
go yellow, as they say. And if everyone enjoyed today's show, you can catch it again and you can subscribe and listen to us on the Let's Get Social podcast on Podbeam, iTunes, Spotify, and the Dublin South FM website. So yeah, and don't forget about YouTube.
If you're loving the YouTube videos, go over to the Let's Get Social show channel. All the interviews are there, and make sure, as Emer does keep saying quite rightly, hit the subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss.
I'll have to get a little bell.
Yeah, like be like a school teacher, Emer, So.
Oh, I'll be giving you homework next. But anyway, as I say, if you've any topics that you'd like us to cover, leave them in the comments, as they say, or you can email us at inquiries@dublinsouthfm.ie, and we will definitely showcase them for you and cover them with experts like Karen.
Absolutely. So thanks again for listening. And if you are watching this on YouTube at a later stage, thank you for watching. Big thanks to Karen for this first show with all the insights, and tune in next week for more Let's Get Social.
Thank you very much.
See you again. Bye.
Bye-bye.